we are a little bit pushed for time, as I said at the beginning of the show, with Roy having to use the dongle at the moment. There's been a bit of news recently about Google and its marketplace, its Android marketplace it's been delving into some of the applications, and obviously it's received reports that some are malicious, and it's removed those from the marketplace. That in itself was very good news. I'm sure nobody wants malicious software on their Android phone. But I read another article which was talking about how they had a kill switch, which anybody who'd installed this malicious software would have it removed off their phone for them. Now, on the face of it, for me, that sounded like a very good idea, and nobody wants malicious software on the computer. But it did strike a few alarm bells with me in this kill switch type scenario where Google can dip in and fix your phone for you if they deem it's incorrect. Now, in the case of malware, I'm sure everybody would want them to do that. But it did strike me to what would happen if the Federation Against Copyright Theft or the RIAA made a request to Google and said, well, there's an application here that's infringing on copyright, or there's an application here which could be used to infringe on copyright. Would Google be in the same position and do exactly the same thing for those unsuitable apps as well? I don't know if you or Gordon.
Or if they get a little phone call from Mr. Biden residing in his offices in Washington that says, oh, there's an application called Wiki something.
Yeah.
We don't think that's appropriate if you want to do business in the US. I'm sure your lobbyists have got appointments lined up with various senators. These can be cancelled, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And before you know it, all around the world, the kill switch finds that the WikiLeaks app just mysteriously vanishes without any warning from the marketplace, and everyone who had it, gone.
Yeah, this was a concern that I had with these actions. Like I say, at the moment, it's very good. I'm sure nobody'd want this any malicious application on their phone. But I think the solution is quite simple. With the Android marketplace, it would be very simple to have a set of approved applications which would get a badge or a stamp, common generic applications that everybody uses. Some way to tell people this is a completely safe application, you've got nothing to worry about from downloading it. You could leave the rest of the marketplace with a user beware type ethos, and it's up to people's own research and judgment if they want to install any other application. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to do, and it would completely eliminate the need for delving onto people's phones, I think. If anybody's willing to install an application without actually doing a little bit of research and find out what exactly it's doing to your phone, or what exactly it could do to your phone, I think they're asking for trouble.
It's a digital equivalent of actually trying to deal with abolition versus advice or versus caution, things like that. For example, trying to ban smoking versus trying to tell people smoking can do this for you. And in some cases in society, for example, smoking is an example where they let you smoke, but they also tell you what the consequences are, and you can decide to stop smoking. And when it comes to certain things like certain drugs, they kind of say, well, you cannot have that at all. And here again, there is like
Yeah, I was just going to make a wee joke about that. Technically speaking, even although smoking's banned, you can still smoke. It's just that you'll be arrested. You can still smoke if you really insist.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I was gonna say it's usually the security versus control. So that's just always and they try to portray this as an issue of balance. Like, in order for you to be protected, you need to give us some control over your computer, and we will protect you. And you have to be very cautious with these things, because history kind of teaches that in any case, even if it's a country, they always market things which give them control as them trying to protect you in some way. And in this case, Google gets a lot of power through Android, and I'm pretty sure they get access to your files as well in some way. Maybe some people will. And that's a copyright thing, the copyright issue. Do you remember Amazon with 1984? That's an example not of an application, but actual content, actual files in your system being deleted remotely. So this can happen too. And at some stage, Google will be very proud with with Hollywood or something, saying, oh, we control people's computers, they all run Android, and we can just scan their files, and we can and before you know it, the dream that the RIAA had since like 2006 of having people install a backdoor on their computer, or some software that basically monitors their files and reports any copyright infringements. They don't have to have you install that if they can make it part of the operating system, make it an anti-feature that's not removable. In the case of Android, if you get a fast boot system, perhaps a dual boot system, or if you get a phone and that comes with Android on it, they can just put it there. It can just come as a feature, and they call it something like, protecting you from malicious files, or protecting you from, I don't know, pedophiles, or who knows what. And they can then use it for all sorts of things once it's there, once it's kind of normalized, and people take it for granted that their phone is being watched, but the good guys, they protect your phone from, they protect the phones from you instead of kind of trying to protect you from the phone, or, it's a very funny thing. It's basically turning people's phones into so-called clouds, where the control center and access to your files is kind of shared, or maybe they have more power than you do because they can delete things remotely and you cannot do much, even if you click.
That's the mindset behind Google's Chrome OS as well. The fact that even if you do manage to get infected during a session, it doesn't matter because it resets back to the factory thing when you reboot anyway. It's like a kind of read-only sort of file system. So that's the kind of ethos behind that as well. So you lose a lot of your own sort of control over your own device, but it's for your own security.
Yeah.
The funny thing with the 1984 thing, for people that don't know, this was Amazon's. Amazon sold the novel 1984 in an ebook by George Orwell, which is the famous one that Big Brother is watching, and it spawned a lot of ideas about control and Big Brother and all that. And because it's old enough to be in some sort of a different legal status in different countries. It's out of copyright in some countries, but it's still in copyright in other countries. And the places that it was in copyright in didn't give permission to Amazon. They didn't sign any deals. The estate of George Orwell, whoever controls his assets, didn't sign a deal with Amazon to be allowed to sell it. So it was perfectly legal, I think, in Canada, but it was illegal in the US because it wasn't properly licensed. And when they got the complaint, they had to remove it from all, and they had to make sure that Americans couldn't download it from Canada and all that. So they just decided, look, screw it, we're going to just remove it and take them all. Everyone who'd bought 1984, even the ones legally in Canada and other areas, they got theirs removed as well and then refunded. So that's for people who don't know about that story.
Well, Roy, I'm hoping you've got as a small talking point to have a chat with the show about, because I've been beckoned by my wife for a few minutes to tuck my young lad in because it's time for his bedtime. So if you've got another topic, Roy, have you got something on the books, or Gordon?
I think we can try and end the show and maybe do another one like a couple of days or so.
Okay.
You have to go, and because we have a track as well.
Yes.
And also, I think it was mentioned at the start of the show. I'm actually using an O2 connection that's wireless, and it's maybe you don't hear it on your side, but I suppose the outcome will be there are a few cases where the voices kind of get lost for a few seconds, or kind of don't sound exactly great. So I should have my wired connection within like a week and a half, depending on the promises from BT. So let's see if that's true. So yeah. So if we make the show, I think we plan to do the show for less than an hour. So it's going
Okay.
to.
Well, Gordon, are you happy with that? And we'll
Yeah,
close it off.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Well, the ending track for today's show, I don't know a lot about, so I apologise. The link will be on the show notes, and it's a bit of a strange track for me because it's not my style of music. I don't know how to put this into a description of what type of music it is. Dance, I suppose. But it's by a band or a group of people called John A, and it's featuring Jasmine Cara, which I'm sure means something to somebody. And it's a sort of dance track. Now, like I said, I don't know any of the history of the band. I wish I could be able to say give you some background information on it. All I can do is give you a link in the show notes. So without further ado, this is their track called Skydiving. I think it's quite catchy, even though it's not my genre of music. So I hope you find it's